Hi, Dustin Weinkoff here, product specialist with Agland in Lloydminster. Today we're going to go through our model year 20 R Series sprayer product support video. So with our solution command here, we're going to go through this. We've got a keypad here with numerous buttons. A lot of your guys' sprayers, if they've came from us, they'll have the legend here indicating which each of the button does. So starting up in our upper left-hand corner, we've got our lights, so it will turn on our fill light right there. Our solution pump on and off, so we turn that on if we want to activate our agitation from down below. Next, we've got our target fill button. What target fill will do is we're able to hit this button and key in a preset value that we'll see over here on the display, hit start, and the sprayer pump will then load that sprayer to that value. If we are doing that, we don't want to be using a nurse pump. The two pumps will be fighting against each other. The one way to use target fill though, and use a nurse pump, is have the sprayer shut off and keyed on. That way the sprayer will be able just to activate the valve itself. Next down here we have our agitation. So we've got a level 1, 2, 3. The level is set in the cab, so it's either an on or off from outside. Next we have our eductor right here. Again, there's a level 1, 2, and 3 on our eductor. That is already set in the cab, so whichever we have it set on there is what we'll use here. Moving down, we have our master spray on off. So this is the same as the yellow spray button in the cab on your hydro handle. If we have our spray pump, our pump on, section control off and touch this, our sprayer will spray out just as if we activated it in the cab. Next here we have our rinse cycles. So from here we can see our 4 rinse cycles. So we can do a boom only, rinse tank only, the whole solution system, or a rinse tank transfer. By selecting any of these, we can enter ourselves into the automated rinse cycles, and we will go through those in the cab later on. Next down here, this little guy, this is our visual nozzle check. With our solution pump on, and by hitting this, it will spray through our virtual sections. It will give us about 10 or 15 seconds to get over to the left-hand side of the sprayer, and then it will start spraying through those sections. As well, with all ExactApply sprayers, you do have a key fob, so we can use the key fob instead of using this button right here. Our next button here is our pull on fill. So this button here is going to activate our solution pump and draw fluid from wherever we're loading, and we'll stop whenever we shut that off. And the last and most important button on the sprayer, this is our push on fill. So most of our producers, you're using a nurse pump. So when we go to load, we press this button, it activates the sump valve, our hose is connected, we open our banjo valve, and we'll load the sprayer. When we're all done, we close this valve and shut the electronic valve. So with our pad here, one thing to note, with all the Deere R Series sprayers, we do have the live tank level rod inside. So we've got a stainless steel rod inside the tank, positioned in the middle. So as we're filling, we're gonna see our live level come up and come back down as we're spraying out. I always trust this more than I trust our standard gauge board over here. We all know what it's been like filling a sprayer. We're parked on a bit of a hill. It says, you know, we have 1,000 gallons on. We get moved out into the field and all of a sudden we only have 925 maybe on. So when we're loading and stuff, I always do trust this over that, just because of the position of it. And if it does fail, of course, we still have our gauge board on the side here to go back on. So back here we've got our orifice valve here. So this orifice valve, a lot of you guys might be familiar. We called that our 10-gallon valve in the past. So this valve in this down position here, this would be closed. Rule of thumb with it, anything under 10 gallons an acre, we're gonna have this closed. Anything higher than that, we're gonna have it open. There is a legend on the side here. Anything greater than 26 gallons per minute, we're going to have it open. And anything less than 26 gallons a minute, we're going to have it closed. Back in some of our 20 and 30 series sprayers, we used to sometimes choke them. With the R series sprayers, Exact Apply specifically, we want to make sure that they're either fully opened or fully closed, and that we are telling the display that. If they're halfway between, we have seen some serious rate fluctuations. Our next valve back here, this is just our boom isolation valve. We can close this off. We need to do any work back there or in our flow meter that we don't get flow coming either way. Now, if you have a high flow system on your sprayer, you will have one more valve here. That will be for your dual flow meter. So if we're doing high application rates, fertilizer for instance, we'll want to have that open if needed, closed for the majority of our spraying. And again, we need to make sure we tell the display which position that's in so the rate controller knows what it's looking for. A couple things to note with these valves, orifice valve and our dual flow meter valve, if your sprayer does have it, we want to make sure those are open while we're doing our rinses. If they're closed, we can get chemical trapped in the second flow meter, and with the orifice valve we can get some chemical pooling here, so we want to make sure we open them up, and then when we're complete our rinse cycle, we close everything off again. So next here we're going to go through the front fill operation on the sprayer. So when we're ready to go use the front fill, obviously we'll remove our cap, hook up our hose. We then have our yellow banjo valve here, as well as a 3-position switch. Now this 3-position switch here, in the down position, the sump valve is closed. If we move it into the middle position, our sump valve opens. You can hear it opening there. So we'll have our hose hooked up, our pump running, sump valve open, we'll open this and we can load the sprayer. When we're all done, shut our nurse pump off, we'll close this valve, then we have our air line here. Now if we're not using a nurse pump and we need to use our solution pump to load, we'll just rock this switch into the up position, the sprayer pump will activate and load our sprayer. Now when we're all done loading, whether it's been with our solution pump or a nurse pump, we have an air valve here. So with my sump valve open, I like to turn my air on, let it run for 8-9 seconds, then close my sump valve here. Once I hear my valve close, I shut off my air line and our line will be empty. So one thing to remember, if we are using our front fill in the field, that when we're switching products, to make sure that we do rinse some cleaner through it, whether it's erase, ammonia, just make sure that we are rinsing it. If we haven't used the front fill, there shouldn't be any chemical that gets contaminated, but best practice is always to make sure it gets rinsed as well.